Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Miftahul Ghanniyah. So in this occasion, I would like to explain my understanding of the reading materials about affective filters and noticing skill. So the learning focus in this topic is affective filter, self-confidence, anxiety, and noticing skill. So let's get down to the explanation. The affective filter hypothesis. So this hypothesis talks about how our feelings and attitudes can affect how well we learn a new language. It was suggested by Delay and Bird in 1977 and has been supported by research. So Imagine learning a new language is like drinking water through a filter. Some people have filters that make it easy for them to learn, while others have filters that make it harder. These filters depends on the three things. So the first one is motivation. People who really want to learn a new language tend to do better. The second one is self-confidence. If you believe in yourself and feel good about yourself, so it's gonna be easy for you to learn. It's easier for you to learn. And then anxiety. If you're worried or stressed when you learn a language, so it can make things harder. And then the affective filter hypothesis. So this hypothesis also says that these feelings mainly affect the learning part of a language, not the acquiring part. This means they have a bigger impact when you're tested in a real-life conversation rather than in a classroom exercise. So it also says that people have different levels of these filters. If you don't like learning a language, your filter is high, and it's harder for you to learn. But if you're more positive, your filter is low, and learning is easier for you. And then this hypothesis says that this feeling affects how well we can use our brain to learn a language. If your filter is high, even if you understand the language, your brain won't use it effectively. But if your filter is low, you'll use the language better. The affective filter hypothesis is a bit like a barrier that can get in the way of language learning. It's important to reduce this barrier by making learners to feel comfortable and less anxious in the classroom. Good teachers help students feel relaxed and open to learning, which makes the language learning process more effective. So, learning a new language can be challenging, and two people, Steve and the language expert Richard Skimmett, have interesting stories to tell about it. So Steve went to Beijing to learn Mandarin, a language that is very different from his own. At first, everything was overwhelmed. The language, the culture, it was a lot to take in. But as he started to understand basic sentences and the cultural context, he gained more confidence. This allowed him to focus on tricky sounds and pronunciation, which is an important part of learning a new language. And the other hand, Richard Skimmett studied a Japanese person named Wes who moved to Hawaii, where English was spoken. So, over 3 years, Skimmett recorded many conversations with Wes. From this, he came up with something called the noticing hypothesis. So this idea suggests that People only really learn parts of a language when they actively notice them in what they hear and what they read. So, um, Steve's experience in Beijing and schematic study of us help us to understand how confidence, anxiety, and ability to notice things in the language are important when we learn a new language. So these stories show us that learning a new language is more than just words. It's about how you feel, what you pay attention to, and the way you understand the language. And then, I will slightly explain how self-confidence, anxiety, and the ability to notice the language features play crucial roles in language acquisition, and how they were observed in Steve's and Skemet's experiences. So the first one is self-confidence. Self-confidence refers to how a person believes in their own abilities, especially in the context of language learning. For example, Steve initially felt overwhelmed when he moved to Beijing and was exposed to Mandarin. He lacked confidence in his ability to understand and speak the language. Like, it was only after he gained some confidence in basic sentences and cultural context that he started paying attention to and how native speakers pronounce difficult sounds. And then anxiety. Anxiety is the feeling of nervousness or worry, and it can affect language learning. In Steve's case, the overwhelming experience of being in a new environment, surrounded by a different culture and language. So it caused anxiety. So this anxiety initially hindered his ability to notice and learn the certain language features. So the last one is noticing skill. So noticing skill refers to a person's ability to pay attention to and recognize specific language elements while learning a new language. And then Richard Skemet, so his noticing hypothesis theory suggests that learners only acquire language features when they actively notice them in the input, so what they hear and what they read. Noticing is considered the first step in the language acquisition. However, there is a debate about whether explicit awareness of noticing is necessary for all aspects of language learning. So, I think that's all for me, guys. And then, thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.